Hello and welcome to another episode of Policy in Wonderland. I'm your host, Evie, and as you already know, in Policy in Wonderland, just like Alice, we are going to explore and see the wonderful world of insurance, insurtech, and everything that's connected to this amazing ecosystem. In Policy in Wonderland, you will meet startups from all over the world, key figures, brokers, and more. So before we jump in, remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter and to stay updated for all things InsurTech and connect with others who share your passion for innovation in insurance. So without further ado, we travel today to Austin, Texas, and I want to invite my guests, my dear friends, to join me as we go down the rabbit hole. Please welcome Mike Gulla and Arik Yelovitch from Adaptive Insurance. Hello, guys.
Hey.
How you
Thanks for
doing?
having us, Ed.
Thanks you for joining me. So let's start from the beginning because you have like very interesting background for the both of you. And Mike, let's start with you. Let's kick off a bit about your story.
Yeah, happy to, man. I am obviously CTO and co-founder here at Adaptive. My background for the last 20 years has all been in the insurance space. So I'm one of those people that became a lifer in insurance right out of the gate. So did my first stint on the East Coast working for a large national carrier for a number of years in the catastrophe space. Really got exposed to understanding what insurance can provide for folks and what it actually means to respond to a catastrophic loss. One of the first events I ever worked was the Tuscaloosa tornadoes that hit in 2011 in Alabama, which was just incredible devastation. And you actually get to see the good parts of insurance when they're there to help people reconstruct their lives. Had an opportunity to move out to California and work for Allstate and help them develop the Esurance home insurance, really the first true online direct to consumer home insurance platform that existed around the insurance ecosystem in the US. Did that for a number of years, managed the underwriting team there and helped them build out their program and as well as their systems before I got recruited by a sophomore to join this little tiny startup in the Bay Area called Hippo that nobody had heard of. I always tell people, man, when I interviewed with Hippo, their website, hippoinsurance.com, was a little logo that said, what's 10,400 times bigger than a gecko, a hippo? And that was their webpage when I joined. So
Didn't know
had,
that.
had no idea what I was getting into and had no idea that it would be one of the, probably the smartest decision I ever made in my insurance career. Joined them early on as employee number 8, was the first insurance hire on their team out in Mountain View. Obviously, we got to experience the incredible growth over the 4 years that I was there. Raised a lot of money, built a lot of products, became a unicorn, got to make lifelong friendships and partnerships with guys like Arik here, and we can tell you a little bit more on that backstory. And then post Hippo, I went on and started my own consulting business, which I did for a few years, just helping investors and companies understand the market kind of post in COVID and post COVID, both the investment as well as starting up new, MGAs in a totally different market than what it was back in 2017, 2018. And started working on Adaptive as a consultant initially and formulating the idea for the company. And quickly realized that I wanted to build the company myself and took the founder and CEO role in February of last year. So I know we'll dive into more on Adaptive. So I'll let Arik obviously share a little bit on his background and intro
Yes,
as well.
share with us. Yeah, exactly. Eric, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so Arik Yelovitch, co-founder and CTO here at Adaptive. So my career started in Israel back in 2004, straight out of university. And funny thing is, actually my first project in S Technologies was outsourcing for a company called RL for the life insurance, for the health insurance to modernize it from the mainframes to the web. I learned a lot, but the project failed because mainframes are here to stay apparently in the all insurance. So I started my career there and moved all the way to Hewlett Packard in Mercury in Yehud and worked with there for a few years. And then through random acquaintance, I met Eyal Navon, who was the CTO and co-founder at Hippo. We spoke briefly over the phone, and the next thing I knew, I came for an interview in Mountain View. And over the weekend, my wife and I, after playing chicken for a few hours, decided to relocate our life to the US, packed our bags, and joined Hippo Insurance. It took a bit more than Mike because my kids actually had to row the boat across the ocean. So they row slowly. So it took us more time, but eventually we got here. Been at Hippo for a few years, then a brief visit to fintech to create Karma, and also became a consultant for a year. I didn't last as long as Mike because I need to own my stuff. And so I joined Dallas Insurance as their CTO for a few years until Mike here came and said, remember, we have a dream of starting something together. We talked about it all the time. I said, yeah, so this is the time to decide. Again, I played chicken with my wife. Should I leave Dallas or not? And again, we took the leap of faith and I joined this guy and we already at it for almost a year and change. And it's being an entrepreneur and a founder is an amazing experience.
I should say, Evie, that I convinced Arik's wife first, and then Arik became convinced to join.
Yeah.
Like a smart underwriter. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Under fight the risk. Right? Yeah.
His entire family was at my doorstep, and the rest is history.
So it's kind of lead me to the obvious question. Why the hell to start another insurtech? Because the both of you was from the beginning of Hippo, right? Arik, you was number 7 or number 11?
I was number 9. He was number 8. I was let him.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were the first 10.
Why the hell to start another insurtech?
It's a great question, Evie, and one that I would say that I don't know that I have an exact answer for. So I'll give you kind of the high points. First and foremost, I will say that, having spent 20 years in the insurance industry, I would say that the 2.5 years that were probably the best of my whole career were the first 2.5 years at Hippo, right? Being early on in a startup, early stage, not knowing what the heck was going on, building something new every day, working with other people that were like-minded, that were in the trenches with you, that, it wasn't about egos. It was about how do we figure out how to get something done? Here's an idea. Do we build it? Do we buy it? Do we find another company that we can partner with that can do it for us? It was crazy, but it was exciting, right? And then, having gone through the Hippo journey, we got to migrate through that path of like becoming a unicorn and then, working towards becoming a public company through an IPO. And all of those things kind of change at various inflection points in what you're building. For us, I think the biggest piece was Arik and I having an opportunity to do something together with both of our knowledge and knowing both what it's like to work for corporate companies, what it's like to work for a startup, where the speed bumps are going to be, the initial team that we need to put together. Forget about the idea for a minute, right? Just think about the core component of the structure of the company and the people. Having that ability to choose who you get to work with and who you get to build something with, obviously, for me, was the most important part. And once Arik was in, it was, it was great. And obviously the other members of the team that we've added since have all been, incredible as well.
I don't know if you disagree. It's your second wife. Come again?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right.
We call it work wife.
Yeah.
Work wife.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. And that's the joke when I say that we had to convince Arik's wife. It's actually was all seriousness. Arik said no at first. And I was on vacation with my family in the Caribbean for spring break in 2024. And I couldn't get Arik across the line on the phone. And on the flight home, my wife was like, we're all going to his house this weekend and we're going to sit down with Sheer and we're going to talk through this. And then that Monday, he made the decision that he was going to join Adaptive. So it worked out exactly as we hoped.
Yeah, making the leap between a startup to a startup, I think is the hardest. It's very easy to make it from an enterprise, from a big organization. You say, okay, I want a different path. I was in a startup that was growing. And as one of our investors said in a podcast, we're scratching our heads to understand why he's leaving. And you can interpret scratching our heads with less polite words, but it's not common. So it took a while again, and I don't regret it for a second, because I think being a co-founder as well as CTO for me is another layer that I never did before. I never had experience with. It's something that more than your department, something more than your direct responsibility. So I love it, and having the opportunity to work with Mike here, everybody says we're like basically brothers, not for the same mother. That's how we behave, and in any form, right? We bust each other balls, and we
yell at each other like the Israeli spirit, and then we go have lunch afterwards and come back, and everybody looks like.
And I can yell at him in Hebrew, and you will understand what I mean.
And then I just respond, and I just say, "Sababa, my brother, Sababa," and we're good. and we're good.
So yeah, being a co-founder is an amazing experience, and it suits right to our, like I think, to our characters and to our, I think, missing aspect that we both didn't have. We were always like very good at what we did, but we always followed in a sense, even if we're the first 10, it's still you follow someone. In this case, we are coming with the ideas. We are the one that making the decisions, and it's awesome.
And then Evie, you combine that with a product like we're building and what we're trying to do with Adaptive, and it was a no-brainer. Like I love a challenge, and I know Arik does too. And when we started thinking about parametric and parametric insurance and where the industry's headed with data, and
You know what? Let's step down on that.
yeah,
Let's talk about the problem. Okay, so you obviously was consultant to Adaptive, and then you took the role, the CEO and the founder. And what is the problem?
So when you think about what's been going on in the insurance industry for the last 10 years, right? When everybody talks about climate change and the climate events and all the horrible catastrophic things that are happening across the country, insurance still works as well as it has for the last 200 years, right? The products that it provides, the way that it provides the products, the models and actuarial sciences that go into it, a lot of that stuff is not going to change rapidly and super fast.
Yeah.
The thing that got me most excited when I had first started working on the idea of what is now Adaptive around parametric insurance is really this idea of resiliency, right? And being able to build financial resilience and getting access to capital. Our focus initially with Adaptive is on commercial lines business, right? We're focused on SMBs across the US. And when you think about the things that impact those types of businesses, most small businesses don't go out of business because of a major climate catastrophe. They're die by 1,000 cuts because of all of these different things that impact their bottom line when they're just making enough revenue to get by. So when they have an insurance event that then takes 3 to 4 months before their insurance carrier can fully adjudicate that claim and make claimant payment to them, that is where they have their failure inflection point that impacts their business. So what we thought of with a parametric offering, which is as simple as thinking about it as an if-then statement, right? If X happens, then I get Y. It's very, very easy to make that case to a consumer. And we can pick that apart as well. But the idea becomes how fast can I then get some level of capital into that customer's hands so that the business owner can make the financial decision for their business of what they need to do with those funds.
Because we have here, especially in the problems with once that kind of catastrophe happened to the SMBs, is one of the major risks that we have generally in insurance, business interruption.
Yes.
Because nobody kind of looking in on that way because they're looking on cyber or other risks. But I think business interruption is the third or the fourth risk worldwide for insurance industry. And this is like, especially you, as you, I'm also was the chief underwriter for SMEs, for commercial insurance specialized in SMEs. And if like the SMEs, the business fall apart, total loss, like nothing is burned to the ashes, yes, obviously the insurance would step in and pay the sum insured, right? And what you especially said is what happened in the middle, and this is like the biggest issues here.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one that is not covered. So I'll give another example. So it's not only the ones that take a lot of time to adjudicate. That's a good thing. Like at the end of the day, the money will come in, so they might be able to survive until that point. I think it's also the place that they're never being adjudicated, right? Because either the insurance doesn't even cover that kind of event, or the business doesn't want to file a claim because if it will file a claim next year, it will pay dearly. They might even lose their insurance altogether. So do they risk and thus like it creates a position that I have to gamble. It's like don't have money enough for medicine or food. What do I buy? Medicine or food in this case? So, and that's where, again, it's another cut, another cut, another cut. And when you talk about resiliency, you right to the point. So people come to say, yes, so I'll buy a generator and I'll have power. That's amazing. But if all Austin goes out of power and you have a generator, nobody will come to buy coffee from you because traffic lights don't work. Usually people, when there's no power, stay put. And this is one example. Or something happens, people stay at home They don't go out and shopping, even if you have the safest place in the street on the street right now, the only business that operates. So resiliency and interruption, I think the interruption part is so true, even if you have things that, let your business run in the operational way, but not with the customers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Abby, I would say too, it's important to think about, and this was the piece for me that really got me excited about where parametric insurance is, right? Everybody always asks these questions like, well, I've heard this before, but I don't really know what it does, right? Well, yeah, parametric insurance has been around for a really long time, and it's been used very well in certain areas of the industry, farming and ag and other types of large scale businesses. And for us, the problem we took is how do you actually take something like that and bring it down to a more location-based level of business. And this is where I think that the idea to launch Adaptive when we did, and why now is the right time, and even 4 or 5 years ago wasn't, is AI and the technology has finally gotten to the point that we can optimize and use it the way that we need to. And I'll give you an example with our Power Grid product, right? To look through the amount of data that we had on outages across the US, it was hundreds of millions of records and reasons and catastrophe events and other overlays of SES storms that hit the Midwest. And was it hail? Was it wind? Was it a drunk driver that hit a telephone pole that knocked the power down? You almost could never, as just a normal human, be able to sift through that level of data to start to make sense of all the noise. Right. So being able to create the baseline models and start to look at the statistics of what took place and actually understand what the impacts were and how long the outages occurred and where the outages occurred so that we could start to make sense of it. And now we're doing that with all the other products that we have in the pipeline of being able to plug into those data sources and use them in real time. Now is the time for these types of products because we can actually use technology to its fullest. We write in the E&S space, so it's excess and surplus. It's non-admitted right now. Right. There are opportunities in the admitted space to do these kinds of products. But as you know, a lot of people are moving into the E&S space with Parametric and other products, especially in commercial, because it's too hard to try to price something and actually put a product in market quick to get traction, without being able to use some of the data assets that we're ultimately using.
It's also obviously relevant, as you said, about for the E&S, but also for captive insurance. But right now you are focusing on the SMEs, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we typically look at I would say our optimal customer profile is probably 1 to 500 employees, right? And we focus in that range. From a TAM perspective, it's like every time you talk to somebody, they think of a new potential customer. Like Arik and I keep it simple. Like if they have a power plug in their establishment and they rely on that power plug providing power to their business, they could technically benefit from our coverage, right? Because if the power goes down, you don't have payments, you don't have customers, you're not online, you basically lose all of your ability unless you're, a hand manufacturer that's using hand tools for something, your business is going to come to a standstill. And power is an easy thing to understand because most people have experienced some level of a power outage at some point in their life.
What is basically your business model? This is like an MGA? You are an MGA or?
We are. Yeah, we are. So we're an MGA. We work with Tokio Marine HCC as our paper provider and as well as our capacity provider on the program, which is incredible. I mean, they're just an unbelievable partner for us to have been able to land a partnership with somebody as big as them right out of the gate who have the amount of experience that they have in the specialty line space. I think they understood what it is that we're trying to build. They understood the need that we're trying to fill in the market. And it was a great match right from the beginning. Took us a long time to get the deal done, but now that it's across the line and that we're live, like we're super excited about what we've built with them as well as what we're going to continue to build with them over time.
Arik, one question for you. Take me what is actually happening under the hood from the technology perspective? Because as Mike mentioned, you are using AI, real-time climate data, and you have like mountain of data, right? How are you handling from the technology perspective?
Share too much.
Yeah. Without the secret sauce. So let's start with the basics. The basics of agents portal and stuff like that didn't change for the last 8 years since Hippo started. Hippo, Lemonade, and the others started. The basics are the same. How do you get the customer or the agent fast as possible to a policy with minimal data input from their side. That didn't change much, and we collect even less data than homeowners and stuff like that. So we're very super fast. We have a super fast flow from start to finish to get a policy. We support all kind of things that allow agents to quickly quote with us, even without giving us an exact address, because we don't need the actual address. We need, census block and stuff like that. So that's very efficient. As Mike said, I think the main challenge is the data, is the amount of data. And no matter how many bodies you throw at the problem, at some point, there's a limitation to what we can do as humans with the amount of gigabytes of data that there are. So I think AI basically divided into two in my realm. One is expedient development, right? We use AI as tools to develop quicker. That means AI can now generate code, which is not in bad quality, can help you debug, can help you PRs. So that's expedient. That's basically expedite the development process as a whole. And then the second thing is, how do you get the right? And again, AI is a very buzzword, right? It's like you need to still educate the models and build the models. How do you get it to consume the data in order for us to create better underwriting, to create better rater, to be able to, instead of going on a county level, to go down to a census block, to go down to the level of street. But when you think about power generally, yes, a city provided by one utility provider, but maybe there are 3 substations in this city and each block behaves differently. The data is there. We can probably get to that resolution, but not by looking at the data from you need to go so granular with so much more data. And we now collect data as we go. We have tons of data we collect from the national grid, which, again, we collect every couple of minutes the live data from the overall the US. So the amount of sheer data, and that's why we need more and more sophisticated tools like AI, again, very general term, to be able to leverage that. And that's kind of under the hood, right? Leverage these tools in order to be more attractive on pricing, because now I can price you exactly as the way I should, and not an average on a county or things like that, and expedite the development process. I think these are the 2 key elements to create successful startups, generally speaking. It's not just us as the insurance startup or insurtech startup. Generally speaking, everything that relies on data should probably use these 2 components and use it more and more.
So if I get it right, and right now it's from the underwriting model, okay? I am a business owner. I have a restaurant in Austin or whatever, and I buy my box from my agent, okay? And obviously I buy it, for example, from State Farm, okay? And then my agent maybe could able to reach out to you, to Adaptive, and buy your product just for the power outage, maybe. Yes, this
Exactly.
is so. It's kind of you're kind of like replace the deductibles. You are like the first layer.
Yeah, it's immediate, right? So from a system standpoint, Arik set everything up for us to be pretty much independent, right? However an agent wants to use us, we can integrate with their platform, they can land on our platform, we can create customized quoting that they can offer to their customer as part of whatever their marketing message and how they take the products to their customer ultimately are, right? Because commercial sales is usually a package of things sometimes, depending on the size and scale of the business, as you know, Evie. So I like to think about it as us being completely open in how the customer can get to us through an agent. But the value proposition of the product, again, is something that, one, allows them to set the specific coverage limit that they want, right? So if you were a business owner in Austin and you use that example, my immediate question would be is if the power goes down for 12 hours on your busiest day of the week, how much revenue do you lose? 10 grand. Great. That's how much coverage you should buy, and 12 hours should be the limit. But maybe you tell me, actually, you know what, 12 hours, 10,000, I will lose 10,000, but I'm pretty successful business. That isn't really going to pinch me that bad, and I don't want to pay X premium for that. Maybe I want to go to 20 hours because now I'm closed for more than a full day. And that actually impacts my revenue over a longer period of time. And I need $15,000 coverage. Great. We can actually do that for you. Like we can customize out that coverage. But it gets back to the point of the value of a parametric. The speed, you're going to instantly see what the quote is. The policy, once it's used, does not go on your insurance record. It doesn't count against your bought policy. It's not connected to your core coverage. And what I think is actually the best part about the funds is you, Evie, are the business owner. I, as the insurer, should not tell you how to spend funds from a business interruption standpoint for your business. That should be for you to decide as the owner of your business. So a parametric allows me to now get you access to those funds without me being the one to now have to tell you over the next 3 months, you got to repair your roof, you got to buy a new refrigerator, you got to do this. It's here's the funds, here's what you paid for, here's the amount of coverage, go and use it and make your business successful. In the instances where you have a catastrophic loss and other kinds of things, right? Like there's a big gap in those scenarios. We didn't build this product specifically for catastrophes. Most power outages on average across the US are not because of a major catastrophe. Obviously, you have big events like the Uri freeze in Texas and Hurricane Helene last year that wipe out power to a large swath area. But in those cases, the customer typically has coverage through their core policy because they triggered other coverage events. It's the everyday outages that are much shorter in duration, less than 24 hours, that we see are the big impact point for most businesses.
Okay. So if I guess it right, one of the challenge could be like the distribution channel, right? Because you are assuming you are not B2C, as you mentioned, you are B2B to agents, to brokers, to captive agents, to independent. So tell me a bit about your distribution strategy.
Yeah, so it's all of the above, right? Like we have a multi-tiered distribution strategy. Obviously, agents are key to any distribution in the US market, especially in commercial. 80+% of commercial insurance business is still brokered through an agent. So we have kind of different ways that we go through agents. We think of like our national aggregators, like the First Connects and the Bold Penguins of the world, where we can embed on their platform. Agents can access us. We can do a lot of things with bulk quotes and unique ways that we can work with those larger aggregators. Then you have your wholesalers, the bigger companies like, the Gallaghers and the Amwins and the other types of groups, RT Specialties and the Locked-ins of the world, that are offering a lot of commercial coverage, usually in much bigger packages, right? Where they're wanting unique coverages that can give them an upper hand. We have a setup to be able to integrate with them. We have a mom and pop kind of grassroots way to onboard agents where they can just get directly onto our platform and they can, get appointed to sell and offer the coverage directly through. You could be an independent agent in downtown Austin and you want access to our platform. Great. We have a solution for you to get in. And then I would say that the last one and the one that's more exciting for me is how we work with the business to business opportunities to embed our products with others. So when you think about the need and the way that you can embed parametric products, because it operates so easily as a if and then happens, right? Where we can embed with, let's call it a battery backup company that might offer, a battery backup for a business for up to 12 hours or up to 16 hours. And then we can offer our coverage beyond that, where it can be embedded in with that other product, where the person buying their product is already thinking about outages. And then we're attaching into a sales scenario where we're kind of front of mind and can attach in that way. We've had a lot of success, which obviously I won't share too much on here and where we're working on that, but it's a big play for us in that space. And we've had really good onboarding success with agents. We went live last month. We got a lot of agents on the platform. We got a lot of quotes coming in now that it's the commercial world. So nobody knows exactly when they have to buy or sell the policy by. It's not like a homeowner's policy. At Hippo, we always knew the closing date, and that was the day that everybody always worked to, right? Or the renewal date. In commercial, it's just, I've realized that it's so much different. It's like, well, they renew in a couple of months. I could do it now. I could wait till then. We can do it in a couple of weeks. I kind of like, it's just a totally different world, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And I think one of the key elements to what Mike says of being able to partner with these kind of companies is the speed also to the claim, right? If we're talking about traditional insurance, the claim has to be adjudicated, right? Adjuster has to come. You have to send proof, X, Y, Z. So it's always, or not always, but most of the time it's a manual claim. I have to report to the carrier that something happened. They come and adjust it. and it goes back and forth, and that's the time, right? That's why 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever time it takes. With us, and that's part again coming back to the data and the technology maturing enough. Like back in the Hippo days, they started to provide information about the building characteristics, about the dwelling, so you were able to populate automatically without asking the customer how old is your roof or what the walls are made of, which nobody has any idea. We are at the point that we're able to, for instance, again, with power outage, we're able to monitor the grid live and understand if the power is out at your place or not. Yes, we might make mistakes. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's getting there. But we're able to tell the customer, hey, Avi, we noticed that the power went out in your place. The timer started. If we get to your trigger point, 8, 12, 16 hours, whatever it is, we'll send you a claim form, FNOL, first notice of loss, that you will approve, right? Because again, it might be that we made a mistake, which again, we're sure at 95, 96% we didn't. And then you approve the FNOL, and that's it. You'll get another link that says, put your payment information, put your account information for us to transfer the money. And about 48 hours after we do, the necessary checks and stuff like that, usually around 48 to 72 hours, the money's in the bank. And that's without you picking up the phone and arguing with somebody. And he said, she said, because in parametric, I think one of the obstacles where it's becoming he said, she said. I'll tell you that you were out of power for 7 hours and 58 minutes. And you'll come and tell me you're out of power for 8 hours and 1 minute. That's the difference between yes claim, no claim. This way, we have an empiric proof that it was X, and thus we all go and abide by that X.
And you got to have transparency, right? And the data now is at a point where we can be transparent, right? That's the whole point, is you keep the customer informed. And I've seen this, and I've worked a lot of claims in my career and whatnot. And the best claims experiences, obviously, is when you can prevent the claim from happening. But in our case, we know we're never going to fully prevent. So it's how do you make the easiest claim experience so everybody knows what's going on? And the way you do that is through transparency, right? Good communication, good transparency, and do it as automated as possible to make it as quick as you can.
What does adaptive look like in a 2 to 3 year vision for now? Because outage is your first product, right?
Yeah.
First of the many. Yep.
Sorry? Yeah. So for us, it's all around resiliency. So what you would see from us, I would say in a couple of years, if things go the way that it's going to go, it's going to be a combination of the parametric products that we offer, combined with a number of different resiliency services that we package in to help businesses be successful. We obviously have access to a tremendous amount of weather data and climate models and other things that we can help customers understand what their exposures are, understand the type of coverages that they should plan for, the things that they should be thinking about. Parametric is our avenue on the insurance side, and we'll continue to build products that are at least, I would say, climate or climate adjacent, right? It may not be a climate specific parametric if it's something that we can offer in conjunction with our parametric product that drives resilience, is what I would say our core focus really is. Obviously, we're a climate company and we're focused on climate parametrics, but there's a lot of other offerings in the market that you can combine together that can make a better experience for the consumer. And we're not going to not offer those things just because our focus is on, climate parametric overall.
And I think a lot of it coming from the field, right? Now we're out there and we have agents on our platform, people coming to us say, you know what, if you had this product or there was this product in the market, I could sell it because I have X customer that actually suffer from it. So if there is enough out there for us to develop a product based on the data that exists in the world, great, we'll develop a product even if it's just for the New York market, right? If it's big enough market and there are enough customers, and a development won't take years. We're talking about development cycles of months between an idea and actually going to production. That's the goal. So we can quickly do a turnaround and do small, more specific Northeast state by state products. And again, because we are ENS, and that boils down to that, we don't need to file anything. We launch the product. If a product wasn't successful, we'll launch the next one. Maybe it's super successful, and then we'll launch another one for another state. So we're going to work on a very fast turnaround. And again, it's the speed of development, the speed of the ID, becoming mature to development. And that's the goal. Like, this is adaptive in a sense. Get there as fast as possible based on what we think, and more important, what the consumers need.
Yeah, so one thing I would add, Evie, and you know this as an insurance person who's been around the industry for a bit too, is the size of our team. will be very, very small in 3.5 years. Because if we execute our mission the way that we are, building parametric products that can be automated and are based on data, I should have a large engineering team, I should have a large data science team, and I'll have a large, I would say, maybe product development team. Not large. When I say large, I'm talking about handfuls of people, not hundreds of people, because I don't need underwriters. I don't need 50 customer support reps. I don't need a claims team that's got 100 people on it. I won't share behind the scene numbers, but like you've seen Hippo's growth. If I could tell you as employee number 8 how many employees we had at the company when I left just 4 years later, if that's what happens to Adaptive, then we did not execute our mission. The whole idea with this is being able to optimize for data, optimize for speed. And one of the things that I look at as a competitive moat around what's coming, if you would ask the question of, well, what's to stop somebody else from just taking some AI tool and going building what you guys build? They don't have the knowledge that we've put behind this company. Insurance is a very highly regulated market. And the thing that AI cannot do is it cannot see what the future is going to be for an individual business. That's why Arik calls it a tool. I can have it build very, very specific things that can save me an unbelievable amount of time and drive a ton of value. But you need to know how to deploy those tools, and you need to make sure that those tools can be deployed into your back-end system and the core system that's future focused on where it's going to be, the company's going to be 3 or 4 years from now. And that's something Arik can do.
Yeah. So I just wrote some post on that on LinkedIn on the last weekend, that especially right now in InsurTech 2.0, if you want to put it names and tags on it, one of the founders needs to be from insurance, needs to understand like the infrastructure of insurance, and not just we have a great technology and yada yada yada. No, you need to understand like really deep, especially like 20 years of experience, 10 years of experience, but you must understand how is the policy is working, how is the connection with to deploy underwriting, to deploy insurance eventually. And this is something like it's very easy to miss if you are not from insurance, but it's very hard to not to see if you are building InsurTech. You must come with knowledge from this specific area.
Absolutely.
And not to add to his ego, but I think one of the, at least 60 to 70% of the reason that Tokio Marine decided to partner with us is because of him, because of his knowledge on insurance. They knew he won't make, stupid mistakes that he can fix, but he can avoid them, right? The difference between a clever person and a smart person. So he's the smart person. He wants the mistakes that back then were done, and he knows what pitfalls to avoid even before we get to these pitfalls. So you're absolutely right. The rest is like technology and stuff, but that's, as Mike said, and I always say, it's a mean to an end. It's not the end. The technology is accelerator. It's like someone asked me once, I asked someone when I was biking uphill in the Bay Area, when is it becoming easier to pedal uphill? His answer was never, because you'll just pedal faster. So technology does the same for everything else. We just go faster, we digest more data, we're able to achieve our goal in a more professional, expedient, and convenient way.
Yeah, Evie, I would end on saying this too, bringing it back to the insurance point, is for us too, and especially for me as a career insurance professional, is that there is a human at the end of every insurance transaction. And unless you've actually worked in that field and had an opportunity to see what happens, I mean, I'm a huge defender and proponent of the insurance industry, good and bad, right? And there's things that insurance companies do that are horrible, and most people usually focus on the bad things that you see in the news, not the incredibly good things that you have. Claims catastrophe teams and people from the insurance industry that, for us in Texas, have been down in Kerrville for the last 2 weeks doing search and recovery efforts to try to help families find their loved ones as they're trying to rebuild their homes and as they're trying to deal with their insurance claim. It's a horrible process when somebody needs to use insurance. It's because something negative happened, right? And if you don't understand what that is, and you're just looking at this as a data element, and this is something to me right now that AI just will never understand. It's looking at everything like a transaction. It's going to create really cool tech, but it doesn't think about what the human feeling is on the other end of that, at least from what I've seen. That's the part for me that is most exciting about building a team at Adaptive of professionals that understand what it's like to work in the insurtech space. what it's like to have worked in insurance, what it's like to work with an agent, what it's like to work with a customer. All of those components need to mesh together for this thing to be successful. And we're really excited about what it is that we're building, man.
Awesome.
Last question before we wrap up. Yeah, from the two of you, three from each. Okay, what did you take away from the experience from at Hippo? Because this is like it's high school combined with university, combined with the life itself, about startups, about insurtech, obviously insurance, everything around. So each three insight from each of you.
You go first.
So three things. A is leap of faith. If you have a gut feeling and you believe in something and you think you're capable of, do this leap of faith. And jumping from Israel to the US to join a startup which I never heard of with people I don't actually know proved it. B is be open-minded to learn new things and to adjust. Don't think that you have all the solutions. And C is keep it small. And the one thing I learned from Hippo is you keep a small team, you keep the culture. Yes, it's not a family. Everybody says it's a family. It's not a family. It's a workplace. But you're able to keep the culture and control it in a degree to what you wish for and what you want to create here, while going like to become 400 people company, we'll lose that. So if I could take something from that, that's the three things and which built me as an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that my first point I'll take is his last point and agree on that one. Lean and mean, and like keep it small. I'm a huge military guy and love reading, military history and other things. And I'm obsessed with special forces teams and things that they've been able to do both in Israel and the US. You have a small team of people, 8 people that can do missions that have the impact of thousands, right?
Like
that a whole army can't get
ownership.
done. Right. So that one I would say is huge. The second piece is mentors. Like mentors and meetings. One thing I learned from a soft that was really good is talk to everybody. Like it used to fascinate me how many phone calls that guy used to take with people who were a nobody that just wanted to have a conversation. And people that I did that starting back in my Hippo days that I've now relied on and been able to reach back out to, and now that I've been able to do to other people, is make time for people in the entrepreneurial world, especially with a startup. You're going to rely on others. You're not going to get it done yourself. Talk to everybody, make everybody a partner, find a way to work with everybody that you possibly can. And then the last one, and I will say this to anybody, and this is the most important thing in the world, is keep your health. Don't forget that you're a human and that you need to be healthy to work at a startup. You need to exercise. You need to eat right. You need to make sure that you find a way to shut your brain off and sleep. Because if you don't and you let those things consume you, it will take you over. And I know what I'm talking about. It's happened to many, many people. Myself included. So mental health and physical health for me are probably is probably at the end of the day the most important thing that I think people lose sight of and lose track of in a startup.
It's a work balance, like it's a buzzword, but yeah, and you need to sleep, you need to exercise, and healthy body is healthy mind, healthy mind is healthy body. It's not just a saying. Like we've seen it at Hippo, people burn the candle from both sides. And luckily, I don't need much sleep, but I do keep time for exercise. And every time we didn't do that, both him and I in the beginning of Adaptive, we didn't have time. And it shows. It doesn't, not only physically, it's becoming heavy. You need this shutdown of doing something. I'm biking, he's doing the gym. So you need that time. Otherwise, you'll implode.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, too, man. I mean, this was awesome. I know we've been trying to get this on the calendar for a long time, man. So it's really good to get it done.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I will see you soon in Vegas, maybe.
Yeah,
for sure. Definitely. For sure. We'll be there with the whole crew, man. You'll see us.
I will bring פסק זמן מקופלת if you would like.
Oh, my kids will be forever grateful.
I want to correct one thing. It's folded.
Yes.
It's
you already know the term, so we all
totally. So I have to eat them over my sink because they fall apart everywhere, and my wife yells at me because there's chocolate.
Yeah.
So anyway, this was great, man. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.